pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business be to approve the minutes from last week, May 3rd. So moved. John's moved.
Oh, second.
Tim seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Nothing really in the consent agenda. It got moved to miscellaneous motions, what was in the consent. First one would be a tax abatement, hand delivered this morning. May move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign one tax abatement in the amount of $67.80. So moved. Don has moved.
I'll second.
Jesse seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The explanation is on there as to why the abatement on a vote. Move to approve the proclamation proclaiming May 2021 as Community Action Month, a recognition of the hard work and dedication of Kansas Community Action Agency.
I'll make that motion.
Ken's moved.
I'll second.
Jesse seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. The next one will be on Brad left me. Pronunciation of that company, it leaves me every time.
Granicus?
Granicus, yes. Thank you. Thank you. It's for the website. So move to approve upon the recommendation of Economic Development Director and sign approval of the county attorney as a form to authorize and direct the chairman to sign budgetary proposal with Granius for subscription renewal of Coffee County's current website contract for 4 months. Funding to come from the special expenditure website expense number 470 in the amount of $2,836.19.
I'll move.
Jesse's moved.
I'll second.
Tim has seconded. Any discussion?
What happens after 4 months? Will there be another one?
I would assume, I don't remember the total dollar amount, but I believe that to be correct. And that's why I looked to my left to see if Brad was with us, and that, there he is. That would be, there is, he's part of that team, I guess I would say. He's working on computer issues. This Granicus, $2,800, that for 4 months, that occurs again in another 4 months, am I correct?
No, and that is to give us time to get everything off the current website to get onto a new website.
Okay.
So it's just a one-time deal, it isn't renewal every 4 months.
Correct, it's just a one-time deal.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Next one would be,
We'll need to vote.
oh, we did not. I'm sorry, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next will be move to appoint Michael Avendroth, District 1, as member of Coffee County Planning Board to fill unexpired term of Lyndon Blackwell effective immediately, with term to expire 4/30/22. As my district, I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Tim has seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Next one would be move to appoint Brandon Burke, District 5, as member of Coffee County Planning Board, effective immediately ending April 30th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Bob made the motion.
I'll-
Go ahead, Tim seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. That leads us up to Rhonda.
Next to waiving of landfill fees. The first one, the pictures are kind of rounded. The first one is at 1303 Potomac Street in Burlington. Ed had asked us if we would come and ask you guys, it has an old deteriorated garage on there. It's very bad shape and everything. It's she bought the property, she'd like to clean it up, and she doesn't really say what she's gonna do, but vacant for right now, so she's asking to waive the landfill fees for that.
That's my district. So I'll make that motion. Waive landfill fees for 1303 Potomac.
I'll second.
Jesse seconded.
Both the house and the garage coming down.
That's two, we have two today.
Two separate properties.
Just the first one is what we're talking about.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I just kind of thrown together so you have those pictures.
Everything in here is on BBS. This room is wired to BBS.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
My second one is at 815 Timber Road by Kevin Lincoln Helper. They've already built on the property, they're just trying to clean up the old house on there.
Didn't wait landfill fees. I'll move.
Bob moved,
I'll second.
John seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Stan?
Understand.
I hope this is the last time on this bridge. We finally finished up everything. Both bridges have been open now for a while. The last part of the project was weatherizing underneath of the bridges so that it would eliminate any potential corrosion, and the coating on there had to be at a temperature applied at above 50 degrees, and it had to be above 50 degrees for 48 hours. So we had to wait. We couldn't do it any sooner than we did. Previously, you had approved approximately $155,000 for your particular bridge. We had one change order on that, for just over $6,000. That $6,000 was when we were doing the approaches to tie into the bridge surface. The subgrade had deteriorated to the point that it was soft, and we couldn't get it to meet the compaction that we needed. So we took that out and put in flowable fill, got it compacted to the point that it would be what was necessary to support the traffic and the vehicles that would be on it. That was the only change order that took place. So therefore, the final bridge 2 came in at $163,000, well, $163,082.94. The engineering fees from B&G came in at $53,680.65. So the total on the bridge number 2 was $216,764.59. The engineering fees were separate from the actual bridge construction and had been agreed upon back in 19 and early 20 that the engineering fees would be the responsibility of the county. So we kept them separate for that bridge compared to bridge number 1, which is the one that we are paying for. The total project cost for both bridges altogether is $317,153.59. Bridge number one's total cost was $147,532.65. And bridge at number two, as I indicated, was $163,082.94. And the portion assigned to bridge number two for the engineering was the $53,681.65. I'm here today to get verification as to where do you want the invoice sent and what backup information do you want to go along with the invoice?
Which are you calling Bridge 1, Osborne Bridge or Bowman Bridge?
Bowman Bridge is bridge one.
Okay.
Osborne Bridge is bridge two.
Which one's Bridge 1, east or west?
The west,
That's
that's the Bowman Bridge, that's the west bridge.
number 2.
Well, that's the one. We have the invoices that we received from B&G. We have the invoices from AM Cochran. We can supply those to you along with the invoice. It's just a matter of, I needed to see what it is that you want to support the costs for your members.
Don't we just, Send it.
Our office,
yeah, send it to her office?
Right.
Or just reimburse you, correct? I remember that's how we had a discussion.
Right, it is to come back to the city again.
Yeah.
Because we've paid all the invoices. Everybody's been paid 100%.
And we're paying for the Osborne Bridge and the engineering cost.
For the Osborne Bridge.
I thought we were paying for the engineering cost for all bridges, both bridges.
Well, let me check and see if they separated those out. They separated them out and I would, yes, that's the total engineering, I'm sorry. Yes, for both bridges.
I thought we were paying for
Yeah,
both bridges.
it's for both bridges, yes.
And 100% of Osborne Bridge, yes,
Construction, yeah.
yes.
So do you want just the invoice from the city, or do you want backup invoices supporting that invoice?
I would probably do the backup, the documents that the city's paid, and then an invoice from the city stating that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
But I have
Paper trail.
everything but the invoice, so that's not a problem. We can,
But Phil, the auditor, Phil, is definitely gonna want a paper trail too,
Yeah.
because of the
yeah,
dollar amount.
the dollar
The
amount.
question I asked here 2-3 months ago, it might be 6 months ago now, I'm surprised the engineering fee on the whole thing is 17-18%. And you probably can't respond to that, but we never did get a response back on that. To me, that engineering fee is pretty sensitive.
We'd have to ask B&G on that. I was not involved with that at all.
Yeah, I'm sure, so.
On what they were going to charge.
That comes with their inspections as well, though. am I
Yes,
correct?
all the
Well, that
inspections.
would include inspections, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're getting close to 20%, I mean, that's a little
For both
excessive.
bridges,
Yeah.
I know we have a little bit of a rough spot on the approaches on Bowman Bridge on the east side. We're looking into how we can grind that down and make it smoother. There's a little bit of a bump there where things come together. And we're looking at how to level that out so it doesn't jar everybody. I don't want hot coffee spilled so that.
Speed limit 30, 35 on there anyway. They shouldn't be going that. Shouldn't be a
I'm
problem.
not going to argue that point with you.
From what I've noticed, that's just suggesting.
It's just a signage, right?
Yeah, we couldn't get any other sign. Okay, so what I'll do then is I'll put together the invoice, we'll get it to B&G, and I'll get the backups for everything that we have paid B&G as well as Ames Cochran, and then we'll go forward from there.
Great.
Any other questions?
Not for me.
All right,
I know it's a tremendous improvement for that road.
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, we've made several improvements over the winter. It's been
That was
interesting.
our 2 times, yes.
You haven't been out by the city dam, you need to go out there and look at that.
I've looked at that a couple of times, and they did apparently a good job there too.
I was going to congratulate you on the upgrade there. That's very nice, very nice.
Everybody likes it except the spoonbill fishermen.
Can't please everybody. There's a lot of miles of river to fish.
Yeah, there is. So,
Why don't they like it?
Because up high, they have to, it's a
Oh,
snagging
okay.
thing, and so they go, now they've got to go this way. So if the water's high like it's supposed to be for them to get here, spoonbills to get here, then it's an issue. They don't want to go down and swim in the water, you know, because there'll be a pretty good current.
Right.
So it's an issue. We have expanded the fishing capabilities for the spoonbills in the city park all the way down to the road, the drive that goes down past the burn pile
Mhm.
there, so they can fish anywhere in that area now. The wildlife and game said it's their sign, but they said as long as it's in our city park, we have control of where it's at. So we moved it down closer there so they have more area to fish in and be at the surface.
I see.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Appreciate everything that's going on now. We got, see where we go on Sixth Street Bridge. That's the last one I think we've got. We've redone Third Street. And,
That'll be a larger project, we might get.
yeah, because we've got water lines, gas lines, communication lines, sewer lines, everything under that bridge.
Mhm.
And it's a whole different project.
Yep.
Take a lot longer. You let it shut down the road a lot longer to get all that support work done and everything to get to be acceptable and get everything we look at.
Where's that bridge at?
Sixth Street right here, just north of the courthouse, 2 blocks.
Okay,
It's the one that's got the walkways on each side. You know.
all the issues you talked about, phone line, sewer line, everything, they cross underneath that bridge
Yes.
on the sides?
Some of it is even connected to it. Some of it goes down underground or under the water, I put it that way. And we'll,
But you know, they core drill that stuff in all the time now.
and we had to look, they had a gas company had to relocate a gas line over on the Bowman Bridge this time. And they bored through it, put it underground instead of attached to it.
I know they rebored there on the river bridge east or west of Leroy. It took them 2 weeks to get through it because they got into a whole bunch of rock. They like never got bored underneath there, but if they bore there, they'll be able to bore in it.
Yeah. We bore water lines and everything else we do under roads. We'd really be on Mark Davidson's bad list if we dug up his new roads all the time. So, all right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Nice work. Right. Little fence when you cut.
Ready when you are, Wayne.
All right, yes, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
City's working over on Heather Street, and that's over by the golf course area. And so there's an entrance right there that we had Kilo go in and add some gravel to improve that approach. That was some of the discussion we had. So on the engineer's report, we have no road permits, no zoning permits to get the landfill totals for April. What I'd like to go into is table organization. This would be something that I've already handed out just for some discussion and have you take a look at. So with that, I'd like to touch on that again. And so now on this is also the construction zones on the back page as well. So now there is a slight change from the previous one that I handed out before that shown there as draft, Tom. And what you're going to find is when Andrew hands it to you, there's I believe this one here. No, that's the office coordinator. Is that the same one? Office supervisor. It's office supervisor is where it comes out. When that comes around, I'll show it to you. Yeah, you got it.
Office coordinator.
The office supervisor, the way that's coming out. That's the only change that you'll find from that draft one.
So we throw the draft on the way?
Yes,
Was that kind of what
it would be an increase in the pay.
This is saying that you passed out April.
The only difference on that one is instead of office coordinator, it's office supervisor.
And now we've got a code change too.
That would be. If you're willing to move forward onto it, if you're wanting to table it, we can do that too. But this sheet here, does reflect basically the wages that Angie was able to get put in with the titles, for folks. It also, once again, just to recap, you'll see underneath tradesman is you have which is a change as well. You have a specialty equipment operator underneath tradesman. I believe I brought that up here last time on the draft table organization. And so,
Why does the office supervisor from office coordinator, why is it deeming an increase in pay?
a new position, new increase in pay, where it's going.
But didn't you already have a position, wasn't somebody
We
already
had
doing it?
the previous, or the position was an office manager in the old organization chart, when you look at the old organization chart. So it was office manager. And then office coordinator, I believe, was the closest one that matched the existing chart. But as we have been having discussions about how the organization is going to change as far as succession planning, and this is something that was also brought up in that wage study, succession planning and such as that, is that the office supervisor now would be actually doing the evaluations on this table organization chart. The office supervisor would be doing the evaluations of those people underneath before. They don't do that. They were not doing that prior to this table organization chart.
So you're giving them one more job
That's
and raising their pay again?
That's correct.
I mean, I don't see the use of that, really. I mean, they can be the office coordinator or supervisor, whatever it may be, and get the same pay because they do one more job. I mean, I don't know why we gotta step up
Seems to me like every time we get one of these, and we do one of these, we change people's names, and we want to give them a raise when we change their word. I mean, we just spent who knows how much money on a deal, and now here we are, haven't been at it a month, and we're wanting to come in and change people's categories and everything again. I kind of agree with Jesse. I think I just don't understand it.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Just because we're changing the title of an individual doesn't necessarily deem an increase in pay as far as this person was doing the job prior to, you added a job to them, and you gave them a supervisor name, which under the right of the pay scale, I don't know. To me, technically, the only thing's changing. There'll be two people answering to her instead of all three of them answering to one.
That's correct.
To me, that's the only difference, but I have a problem going up to the wage scale going from a 35 to 45. Because technically, her responsibility won't change one bit. Other than she's got two ladies or two people she's responsible for. Who was your person prior to that?
Staff hasn't changed. The staff hasn't changed.
Okay.
The names haven't changed.
Yeah, the staff's all identical, except now, the zoning commission's not in this at all. Where's our zoning?
That's right.
Where's our
That's right.
zoning commi, you're removing half of her responsibilities from the road and bridge. Where's her responsibilities go to now?
And then that's the succession planning. I mean, keeping in mind this whole fourth table of organization is basically moving up that next step for succession planning. And so the idea here is that you would have a person that would be supervising in the office, and that's the reason why that position would be changing or looking to change. Okay. And then as far as the zoning, that was basically the discussion we've had before. Do you want zoning to be standalone? And we talked about having zoning here in the courthouse. Or do you want it to still maintain underneath the highway department? But if you're not gonna have an engineer, who would be supervising zoning? I mean, that's where you're gonna be ultimately at. If you have a transition plan and you say, okay, zoning administrator moves to the courthouse, then you're also gonna have that time, that opportunity where myself and Wade can still work with the zoning administrator until everything basically, gets settled in.
I guess explain your succession planning, what you mean by that. You just now said we're not gonna have an engineer. You don't know what we're gonna have, Wayne. It's gonna be our decision.
Oh, absolutely. Have you made a,
And I
have you made
realized,
a,
I already kind of know what your plans are, but that's okay. But what do you, explain to me what you mean succession planning, because it looks to me like we're just trying to put people in higher wages.
well, I'll take whatever direction you want me to go. If you want to stay the same, I mean,
That, as far as zoning, that's a topic for discussion I'd like to have sometime soon. And
We
as
have,
far as succession is, yeah, we do, I have been talking to some other counties that do have an engineer, and some that don't. Just, again, that's another topic for us to have discussed here in the next several months, so.
and with what you just said, I think we ought to leave things just the way they are until we figure out just exactly where we want to go.
But my question would be, on this table of organization, this office coordinator, and is in it, class 35, and then it says A through V. Where does that person sit now? Is it A, is it V, is it what?
I don't have her salary. I don't know. I don't have it.
Prior to the move up, she's 2354. In the new proposal, as an office coordinator, it goes to 2398, an increase of a little over 1%, 1.8.
What?
Her schedule's number 20 in the new chart, I think. I forget where it even goes to. It has so many of these different forms, yellow, pinks, whites.
Right.
And we filled out all the whites at the yellow, and I currently, as an office coordinator, she'd be at number 20, which would be very close to the top, might even be the top one. Because it was 16 levels, then we changed it
Now.
after that to 1 step per year, and lengthen out more steps. That step point might even be topped out.
22 is topped out.
I'm sorry,
22.
22 top, so she's only got 2 steps left to top. She's at 2398. Currently, she's at 2354. So her increase this last year is 1.87 in the new one. And the county specialist was also the same level. You know, I don't have any problem with continuing to maybe look at organizational charts where it can maybe improve the operations of the department. Of course, your department's got 51 or 2 employees. But my suggestion right now is to stay with the same organizational chart we've got. And I know on the backside, you've got Jeff is responsible for all 8 different sub-departments, and you've got Ryan proposed to oversee 2 of them, and then he'll answer Jeff directly on that.
Mhm. That's how the organization chart goes beyond page 1. That's
Yeah, it
correct.
does go beyond page 1.
So as you made mention, basically on the trades group, is you're also gonna have a specialty equipment operator, which,
remedies, correct me if
Basically,
I'm wrong, that when Mr. Knisley came up and presented his case, changing some of these guys remedies that problem, am I correct?
on that particular one, what you have is you have, in the trades group, is you have an operator that's working an excavator, just like, the assistant fleet does. And so in the assistant fleet, you have a specialty equipment operator. So you have an individual that's working in the trades group.
My question again was fairly simple. I thought Mr. Nisley came in here and presented a case that we moved the goalpost. When you reclassify some of these people, that puts them in the right position where we're no longer moving the goalpost. Is that correct?
Tell him on Mr. Nicely, when he came in, to recap what I understood, was that he had already had almost 2 years of time in step on the old system.
Correct.
So all he was doing was basically being able to move on the chart, in which the chart changed at that point, is that people that had time in step, that they would go ahead and get that time in step. Then they would match how close they were on the chart. So it really amounted to how much time in step. It had nothing to do with the table organization. It just basically, if you had time in step, you would go in and advance up because.
So the advancing up for time and step did not change any sort of classification is what you're telling me.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
So beyond page 1, once again, the table organization chart takes into account the assistant road supervisor position as far as being in charge of 2 groups. And then also that specialty equipment operator in the trades group.
Kind of remains the same.
So behind, other than the office coordinator, is there anybody else that's gonna be increased in wages?
That
I'm sure there's some.
specialty equipment operator in the trades group would be similar to page 1. That's correct. So you're changing a position that was a tradesman to a specialty equipment operator.
What about assistant road supervisor, since he's gonna be supervising other people?
What you'd have there is you'd have basically that additional responsibility as far as giving evaluations on those 2 groups, which would be the assistant fleet.
So that'd be a
And then also
recommendation for
like-
higher wages?
On that particular one, according to our previous policy, that's how it went, is basically if you were supervising an employee or a group of employees that you'd be making more than those employees at that point. So there is that possibility. But then also too,
The policy's null and void.
that's correct. Also too, is you basically had, by motion, had taken that section out and said it was up to Wade. So before I could answer that question to say it was going to be an increase or not, it would be something that Wade would answer. How it would be addressed countywide.
So that's a total of 3 increases. 3 employees getting 3 increases.
That would be correct. That could be summarized that way, yes.
After the Scott increases.
How much value is there in directly assigning Ryan to 2 different departments now versus leaving it as it was for everything under Jeff? And then of course Ryan's under him.
I think what you have there is when you have the assistant road supervisor is definitely working hand in hand with Jeff and definitely working with all the foremen through the process. That now you have basically a supervisor that's more one-on-one to be their supervisor of that work group. And so they're giving direct, at that point, basically direct instructions of what's expected. And so that's what you're doing there by placing those 2 underneath them. I know that, succession planning is something that you're going to make a determination on. But the truth is as well that your budget actually is starting in June. So part of succession planning is knowing what to budget for in 2022. And so mine is if you are making a determination to say, yes, you do want an engineer, then that's going to affect the budget. If you're saying, no, we don't, we're going to have to follow the statute to say to have either an engineer on-call type services or contract type services, then basically you have that to consider for budgeting. And Tom, I'm sure some of your research might have shown that as well, how they're doing it.
Mhm.
I visited with Keith Browning, the local roads, the local roads engineer, from KAC, and he's gonna do some research on it as well, countywide. I guess there's less than 15, county engineers in the state. And so, the rest of them either have some type of contract or some type of an arrangement, with a consultant or engineering firm.
For me, it goes back to, and I know I said this from day one since I came here. Does the road bridge need 52 employees? I mean, I know that's a number that's been put out there, but I don't mean it's offensive toward anybody at all. I don't mean it that way at all, but I haven't seen a book that NRC says Coffee County shall employ 52 people on road bridge in case of emergency. I haven't seen it. I know you and Stuckey brought us a paper outlining who's responsible where in case of an event, which was helpful. But as far as the succession planning goes, in my opinion, engineer or no engineer, can we save money by outsourcing some of this, and as individuals from the road and bridge retire, not replacing them, and contracting out projects like Matthias or the landfill cell or this, that, and other? Will that save us money? So that's where my mind is headed right now.
Mhm.
Just,
Which is correct.
but just for information only for everybody. So. Not to take anything away from anybody that works for road and bridge. You got an outstanding group of guys and all like that. But at some point in time, I don't know, we got to step back and say, I think our roads are in real good shape. I think all our bridges are in good shape. Do we still need to be pumping this many dollars toward road and bridge? Or do we need to pull back some and put it elsewhere? So.
And just to continue the conversation, as you're a business owner, well-established, has run it for years, your staffing is basically based on how much work you have. I mean, that's basically, if you get more jobs, then you're gonna have to have more staffing and different things like that. Since I started, we had 61 employees. We came down to basically the 52. And it's been that one point that you also find too, do I have enough people to do the jobs that I have before me? 52 seemed to be the point that it's kind of like, if we were less than that, we were not getting the work that we're needing to get accomplished done. If it was more than that, then possibly we had too many people standing around. And so that's kind of where 52 fit for us, in addition to Wolf Creek.
In the same line of thinking, I remember our conversation we had a few weeks ago about the Matthias Lake project, or ditches or whatever you have to pull off because you got, work orders from individuals for pipes or whatever. So, I mean, again, I'll go back to, if you weren't working on the Matthias Lake project, would you have plenty of people to take care of all the work orders that came down the pike from individuals needing an entrance pipe or blading or mowing or anything for that fact, of just normal maintenance, not out digging a big ditch and detention ponds or whatever the heck, just your normal everyday maintenance type stuff? How many people would really be needed is where I'm at, is what I'm thinking.
Which is fair.
And when you go back to my business, what I have to do is, I have to say, okay, I don't have enough employees to do this other project that just came up for bid, so I don't bid it.
Right.
And I don't take it on. I don't take on more work than 10, 12 people can do. Or I try not to. Don't always work, but I try not to.
Right. And that's the business
That's where I'm
model.
at with you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if you're out here digging Matthias Lake and you have, then all at once, several people need culverts into their farm field or their house or whatever, and or you got a bad piece of road here, you gotta go out and fix, or whatever, just normal maintenance stuff.
Mhm.
I guess is what I'm trying to bring the road and bridge back to, just like a city municipality or anything, and outsource the rest of it by contractors, whether they be from Ottawa or wherever.
Right,
Get done whatever else we need. I mean, if we got them locally, that's great.
right.
I think it'll help our economic development in that aspect as well too.
And those are good discussion points, and I hope you don't mind that we continue this discussion. For me, it helps me to understand what you're wanting, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do.
These are just my thoughts. I couldn't tell you what the rest of the commission's thinking, but these are just my thoughts. At some point in time, you just gotta turn it into a maintenance type organization, not a contractor type organization, is which I've seen it that way for years. I mean, we're going out, and like Matthias, I mean, I'm sure there's 3 or 4 or 5 dirt contractors in town or county that would love to bid that project.
Mhm.
And would it would save us money? I can't promise you that it would, but I would think so. So that's why I just go back to just being a normal maintenance contractor for the county as far as road and bridge, so.
I'll just take on Tom. That was my thoughts before any of the rest of you guys was ever here, but they never got anywhere. But I noticed that we have 52 employees, 19 of those are in some supervisor position. If we contract out, we don't need all those supervisors.
I got 2 guys running 12, so they're 10.
That's what I mean. We're top heavy.
And again, not to take anything away
No.
from anybody from Road and Bridge.
We got good employees.
You got a good, yeah, we got good employees. There's a good group of guys there.
Mhm. Oh, I agree.
Again, go back to the point that when somebody retires from your department or that department, that, you know, we just turn it toward being just a maintenance type deal instead of, that way you don't get, not out here on the, having coffee and getting steady from seeing one of your pieces of equipment out some farmer's field or something like that, so.
Right.
You know, which you had an agreement with the landowner, I don't mean it that way, I'm just saying, that's just the way things roll anymore, so.
What does the rest of the commission, do you want to engage in this? I mean, this would be great conversation for me to know basically, you know, what direction we want
I
to
would
take.
say, as far as budgetary purposes, go ahead and budget it like you were here.
Okay,
There's no set idea on what the future's gonna bring. I mean, we all have 5 have to sit down and say, okay, this is what I discovered, that's what he discovered, this is what he discovered, and we'll have to make a conscious decision together, so.
okay.
I mean, I would budget it just like you would normally budget. You can, because you don't know what we're gonna do, or we're not quite sure what we're gonna do, so I would just budget it just like normal.
I don't know why we couldn't split some of these supervisors down and put more people under each supervisor somewhere, shape, or form to save the amount of supervisors on the top side. It's making,
That's part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Be part of the conversation.
yeah.
How many of your team leaders and supervisors, technically, that's all they do? Your team leaders, and I'm not trying to downplay the other side. Your team leaders are fully carrying out responsibilities.
Third work.
They're just being team leaders in the position that they're out there at. Somebody's got to lead a group of 3 or 4, but technically, they're still doing their responsibilities, and they're not supervising 100% of the time.
That's correct.
They're still working 95% they're supposed to.
They're boots on the
And even
ground.
your supervisors, you know, technically, you probably only got 3 supervisors, you and Jeff and Ryan. That's probably the only 3 that are not doing manual labor, or should be. The rest of them better be doing some manual labor or some other work of some type.
No, I'd be the only one that doesn't, because Jeff jumps out there on the truck, with snow and ice. I mean, he's multiple times. He would be out there on the chip seal projects, working basically the chipper.
The titles of a lot of our employees is misleading.
Ryan's basically out there on the blade multiple times, working as well. So we have it's a team, everybody's working together. But one of the things I would say that, you know, when you're looking at budget, and that's great. That gives me direction as far as, you know, my staffing. But I'd also say too, if you're moving towards say, maintenance without us doing the construction side, then that also basically changes my contractuals in my budgeting. So what you're gonna have is contractuals. When you do contractuals, Matthias Lake it's a strange project that's been going on for years, and it's been discussed for 30+ years. Okay, so we've had that one going on, but it started prior to our flood 2 years ago that we actually
Oh, yeah,
started.
no, that's been an ongoing problem. I'm
It's been
not
ongoing.
questioning that one at all.
Right, but
Just, why I do is I question the fact of, could we have sent that out for bids, designed it, have an engineer design, okay, this is how many cubic yards going out, this is how many box covers going in, and saved ourselves some money.
absolutely, and I follow you, I really do. Up to that point, up to some of the discussion that you're having now, is up to that point, Road and Bridge has always been, hey, come out, take care of this. Hey, come out, take care of this. Even though it wasn't part of Road and Bridge. That's how it was done. A couple years back, Angie, we said we didn't have any time to do the patio portion of it because it had all that slate and everything. That was one of the times that basically it went out for contract. But we had done basically the asphalt, other than having the contractor lay the asphalt for the parking lot, but we had done the design for that. We basically had our folks do the prep onto it and such as that for the subgrade. We also did the retaining wall for the sheriff's office. We basically corrected that architecture's grade design because they were parking in a slope down towards the building. We had done that. We had also done, these are all outside of Road and Bridge stuff. We also done the convenience center basically at the landfill. So it was always part of Road and Bridge to take on any work that's associated with the county. Can it be done with a contract? Yes, it can. Yes,
I
it
have no
can.
doubt.
No doubt. But what you have to do is you have to have plans, specifications
Yeah,
to acquire
by an engineer.
by an engineer.
Yep.
And so then you create those and then you basically put it out for a project. But up to this point, that discussion has not really basically been part of it. It's been, hey, Road and Bridge, take care of the county work.
But at the same time, right back, if someone else, if we had a contractor on, this big project out east of town, Matthias Lake, Road and Bridge would have time to do this other stuff then too.
Oh,
So-
yeah, we're tied up.
So it's not like,
We're tied up on that project.
but what I'm hearing, and the thing I'm hearing from Tom and then is, and I don't know what Don, but I think it's what I'm hearing from Don is, do your budget just like it was, because you're gonna be here for the most of next year anyway. So you do your budget like it does, and if there's a change, we'll let you know.
That's good.
Back to Matthias Lake, are we gonna be able to sit down and talk to them?
Other one, the township, I don't know, where are we having that conversation?
I visited with Jim quite a bit here, well, an hour better here a week ago. And right now, they still don't have a third person. And Melissa, and I've never met the other lady of that commission or that committee, but Jim's position is, even though they have funds available, that ditch that goes, the east side of Matthias Lake goes straight south. He still stands by, and I got a little careful quoting someone that's not here. His position in most situations should be a landowner's project to keep that ditch open, because it's all on private land. It is correctly all on private land.
That's correct. Yes, it is.
So,
No easements out there. That's all private.
And that's basically what they told us how many years ago when they came in, that was basically their stand at that time, I think.
Well, I know Jim had done some work actually out there on the land that he
he's got some
controlled.
personal stuff.
He invested his own money to clean out his portion of the ditch. That is correct, but not all landowners have taken up that extra work. And just like anything, unless you basically, clean the whole drain, you're not gonna basically fix the problem. And that's where, and I don't, like you, I don't want to speak for somebody else, but
Yeah,
Forrest has
pretty
come
darn.
in here multiple times.
Well, they've been asked to come in here. I'm sorry, they've been asked to come in here to discuss this, and they would believe we had a no-show. They didn't take that as a request to come in, so. Probably should have done personal contact.
How
But
do
that's
we
just my,
officially do that?
I'm sorry,
How do we officially make a
just
request?
have that, you know. That's what we want to do, we can talk to them. Probably better than just sending out a short letter. Now, I'm not being critical of that, but face-to-face is so much better than a letter that's unreal.
If you're gonna do it official.
I'm sorry?
If you're gonna do it officially, a letter from the commission would be the way to do
It
it,
needs to be
not
both
just,
ways.
not one person go out and talk to them.
Well, they got the letters, but somebody came in. But
Sounds like they're short a person too. so.
stalemate.
Okay,
You know, I did, Matthias, we talk about Matthias Lake a lot, and that's been on the table, like you said, for 30 years.
yes, sir.
Never been addressed until 3 years ago. But yet the excavator there last week, sat there all week. And whether the operator was sick or whether someplace else or anything, but they didn't, I know after Monday, that excavator never moved. So, you know, I don't know what created that, might have been somebody that was off on vacation, I have no idea.
One person being on vacation doesn't stop my.
Aren't we a little short on operators for track hose anyway?
What we had on we had at least 2 excavators out there, and so, I know they were moving dirt here last week. I can't say that basically it was sitting there the whole week, because I know, I had some discussion about moving some of the loads, and this was from the Nelson's portion of it, that some of the loads were being moved to a location about a
They took a few
mile.
loads down to Nelson's and dumped it there on the corner.
Yeah, so I know they.
After Monday, that workload didn't go any further north.
Then after that.
Yeah.
But, I know that we had 2 excavators out there scheduled, and then we took one of them off to start working on some of these other projects that we have. I got 4 pages of request of projects, maintenance, 4 pages. And so we're trying to balance all of
And
those.
that's where I go back to, how many people do you need to do normal yearly maintenance?
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
not counting anything else, just normal yearly maintenance.
right.
You know, to talk about it in a cost savings, and that's what we're talking about, doing it ourselves or doing it with the contractor. You know, the contractor's gonna have cost of the equipment, he's gonna have cost of maintenance, he's gonna have cost of employees, plus he's gonna have a 10 to 20% markup. To me, a contractor's gonna have trouble competing with us if we're operating efficiently at 90% capacity. But that's just an assumption. How do we evaluate and compare? We ask for bids. Do we turn the bids down if we can do it for less? Or if we ask for bids, do we got to honor those bids?
Best
Or you got to refuse
bids,
it?
best bids. And I'll use that example out there. How long we've been on that project? A contractor came in, it could very well been done, everything we're doing by now, because we're having to go do other things in between.
I can tell you how you can get down to that one. Wayne, I assume, keeps track of what it costs him to excavate all that dirt, where he's at right now.
Yes, and I reported a number a couple weeks back.
So, yeah, I believe he did. I don't think we had it in writing.
Yes,
Maybe we
it
did.
was over 200,000.
Yeah, you report that or.
So I mean, do we know how many cubic yards of dirt have been hauled out of there and all like that? I mean, do you keep
That I
that?
don't keep track of it. Not that I couldn't.
Approximate truckloads.
Oh, yeah.
something Like that. So
Yes, we do.
if a person had all that information,
But we're,
approximate truckload.
We can backtrack, yeah, we can backtrack it.
but we can keep track
That's
of,
where we can do the comparison. But you still would have a contract bid, what it would cost for a contractor to do it. You're gonna have your cost when it's all
I can
done.
get you pretty close.
Okay, that's the answer, that's the answer we're gonna need if we're gonna make changes.
Well, and I'll go back to, I think it was the first year I was here, you know, we're just talking now.
hope you don't mind me leaning here, my back's getting sore.
A project that was done by the county workers for another entity, and it wound up costing $20 a square foot for concrete to get accomplished.
And you mentioned something.
If I could make $20 a square foot pouring concrete, I would only need about 5 or 6 employees, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here. Because my normal, well, I don't want to advertise my price, but it's way under half that. So,
My concern out there is, how often are we gonna have to do this?
Every time it floods.
Every time it floods.
Matthias?
Yeah.
Every
I
time
mean, it's a
that
topic
river
of
comes out,
discussion because that's what he's working on right now. But
And with the conditions that we've got out there,
You have no filter strips beside
no
the
filter
ditch.
strips,
It's just gonna run right off into the
Yeah.
ditch again.
And there's one of those things I never really paid attention to until recently when, I don't remember who it was, Mr. Fry came in and said everybody's farming right up to the edge of the ditch.
Guarantee
And
you.
there's a lot of people that do that. I had no idea.
and I'm just not throwing them underneath the bridge. Because you go everywhere, a lot of this in this county,
Yeah.
farm right up to the
I-
edge of the ditch.
A
And wonder
lot of other
why.
counties too, not just this one.
Yeah.
About everywhere.
It's pretty common practice, always has been, always will be, unless you put the filter strips in. And a lot of the 30-foot filter strips that was contracted to the FSA office here 4 or 5 years ago, I can show you 50 of them, that filter strip is 10 feet. They need to go out and take all the money away from them.
Yeah.
So I'm not being critical of FSA or anything like, but they also need to be managed.
They gotta be
And
managed,
they're not being watched.
makes it
I
one
can show you a lot
year,
of them, 10, 12 feet, that was 30 feet as instructed.
one year you go in there, disc up a little more, another foot. Next year, a little bit more.
That's just the way it is, so. You know, I don't mean to change the subject, I think it's good communication. And we've got some things we gotta do a lot of discovery now before we can make it. And what that magic number is, 52, 45, 40, you know, makes a difference on which direction we're gonna go. But back to my thought on the organizational chart, Wayne. My comfort level is to leave it to work. I know we need to continue to look at changes, something that would make improvements, and I'm not saying it would or wouldn't. My thought is to leave the organizational chart, you know, as is for the time being. But that's my thought.
I would want to touch one thing. When you send things out for bid, I don't believe you would want to compare yourself, the contractor's bid, to what the county could do and then take it away from the contractor. That would be bad business,
Yeah.
and you would find the contractor not to bid.
And my question is how you arrive at a comparison.
It's not very good advertising.
How do you arrive at a comparison when to me you can't do that?
So the only thing you would do is, and this is where some of the discussion I had too, and I wish, this is good conversation. I encourage it. But when we do the, next year's projects, if you could tell me, say, hey, let's take these projects and make contracts. Take them out of your plan and make contracts for them. Because I list the majority of the big projects.
Yeah, you do. And so I'll just go back to, again, do your budget just like you normally would, add in your project, whatever. But I wouldn't mind having that number, if you would, of personnel needed to just do yearly maintenance, whether it be crossroad pipes or entrance pipes, chip seal, whatever, mowing, blading, all of it.
I'll try to work on something for that.
Eliminate the rest.
Not every project we do, we have an engineer's estimate anyway. I mean, we can compare that to a bid, just like the bridge we did down there by Brian.
Well,
We had an engineer's estimate on it, and then we had bids come in and see where they were at. I mean, so that's not a big issue, in my opinion.
anything that's required a contract, I provide an engineer's estimate. So you get the engineer's estimate on it, but those are already in contracts. Okay, what we're talking about is what is going to be the cost for something else. You can do it. I mean, if you bring back Matthias Lake as far as an example, yes, definitely. If you knew going in, you were going to be doing it as a contract, one is you'd have an engineer's estimate. Two, you would have a complete set of plans and specifications. Then we'd go out for contract. Then you would basically do the plan and all of that would be basically in place.
But the estimates that you put out for a bid from contractors, that's retail expectation, correct?
That's correct.
County doing it at cost, chances are it should be less,
It is.
if you're operating at 95% efficiency.
I can do, and I don't recall the numbers now because I don't have them in front of me, but I think it was $22 or $25 Um, 22, 25, for chip seal. It was $22,000 or $25,000 per mile for chip seal. Chip seal, Fox seal, our operation. A contractor for the same price was doing up to around $30 or something like that. And that was one of the discussions.
And those are projects I had no doubt that we can do cheaper.
Do cheaper. That was one of the
normal, again, I call that normal maintenance.
Yeah.
So.
But, so, once again, it's all good conversation. What you will have is when you move towards a contract type, then what you're gonna have is more upfront cost. You're gonna have those engineering fees that you're basically gonna have associated with your projects. That's where you would be at. But all good discussion. The thing is we got a great group. I would hate to reduce our numbers just on the pure fact of a model change, but
Let me back up when you say that number, because I'm not saying we're gonna start laying people off. I'm just saying as they retire.
absolutely, and that's where I was going on that one, Tom.
I didn't want anybody listening to
Yeah.
mistake what I said, just as they retire.
As, you know, if that's the direction we're
Not
going,
eliminating anything.
then as retirements come in
Well,
play,
let's see, we've got to slowly move that direction.
yes.
I
May take
I
years.
firmly believe, yes.
Yeah.
Start it now, as opposed to
But have it,
all at once, here we gotta lay 10 people off, we don't want to do it.
no, we don't want to do that, because we've got great people that work in the county, that families in the county, all of those things. And you're not saying that, I totally understand. I'm just basically making the point that, you know, once people retire, if that's the model we're wanting to go, then that's what we need to do. Now, we do have positions we already have in the pipeline that I'm trying to fill, so at this point, I still plan on bringing those to you to fill those positions. I would hope we would honor those and then have that discussion where if we're wanting to go that other way, that we start looking at each position as it becomes open or available, do we fill it or not? But at this point, I'd like to go ahead and fill those. Table organization chart, once again, good topic, a lot of good discussion. Table organization chart, at this point, I'm understanding to be tabled, so I'm tabling that, leave that alone. Would still like you to have some conversation about zoning. That person's doing one heck of a job, been doing it for a couple of years now. Pretty much independent. There's just a little bit of conversation here and there, but she's doing a great job. So, but I also point out that that job too, it requires when somebody's coming in, they have to go to the appraiser's office and get a map. They have to go to emergency management to get a 911 address. If they're building a new house, they would have to go to sanitation to get basically a sanitation permit. All three of those things are here in the courthouse.
Again, that's a discussion I'm planning on having with each other.
Okay. So, but once again, that person does a great job. It has nothing to do with the job performance. It's just basically people grow to a station where they, better opportunity here in the courthouse. The next one is a motion. That would be resolution. Did I did hand out, did I hand out the resolutions, or do you guys have a copy of the resolutions? Okay. So those are the same numbers that we had discussed that Jeff had provided us and done an excellent job. Reason why I'm wanting to bring this one up now, as Jeff pointed out, we need to give an ample notice to folks that are doing budgeting for the prices that's going to be changing come January 1 of 2022. So on your second page, you see item number 3, the fees will basically go in effect January 1 of 2022. And so that's what this would be about. And so this here is to pass the discussion we've already had and the research that we found. I believe also too is from that discussion we previously had is construction demolition on page 2 out of county. We all agreed to move that up to 25. That's the only change you see from the initial proposal that I had a month or so ago. Jeff had basically presented.
Passenger car 250, does that mean if I load my car up, bring it out, it'll cost $250?
Yes.
That might mean my Suburban on 250.
It gets to that gray area.
Yeah, that's what I'm
What
thinking.
we're looking at is folks, but, we're looking at, Carrie does an excellent job, figuring out basically the ins and outs where, if somebody has an SUV, Suburban or van or something like that, that this is not really a passenger car. I mean, everybody knows, and I shouldn't use that word, everybody, but most folks would understand that a passenger car would be something out of your trunk, that sort of thing, that you're taking a couple bags of trash.
A soccer mom would think a van was a passenger.
That's true too. I guess it's how full you make it, but, so, yeah, I hate to get in those arguments, especially with the soccer mom or soccer dad, but I would say that, that's where we're at. I think this is a good one. Once again, the last time it was changed was August the 27th of 2007. So you've had, this price held, and once again, these are not increasing the in-county cost except for tires for in-county costs. But other than that, it's really reflecting changes for out-of-county waste is what you're seeing in this resolution.
Personally, on the passenger car, if somebody wanted to load up their SUV with all that stuff and haul it out there, 250 is plenty.
Yeah.
To me, they want to go to that trouble.
They would put that all in that vehicle?
Yep.
I'd probably say so. Not a problem.
So rear tractor tires are $15, right? What are front tractor tires for?
Tractor, okay, we got our truck tires, rear tractor tires, all.
We can go get some front tractor tires or bigger
Just
than
as
some
big as
other
the
rear.
rear, that's what I'm saying. Who's gonna decipher if it's a front tractor tire or a rear tractor tire? I just put tractor tire, period.
We can make that change.
Some of the front wheel assist anymore.
But a front tractor tire can be smaller than a truck tire too.
But I'm looking at
I got front wheel assist on some of these, they're bigger than the tractor tire that I get on my rear.
where I would go is, as we're trying to look at the fine points is, if we look at the current one, this is our current, okay, this is our current numbers. These are the ones that are basically out there on the website currently right now. It doesn't identify basically a front tire. I say once again, we have a great operator at the window that is reviewing it. And so there's always going to be those gray areas of how it's interpreted. We have not had any problems with the way we're doing business. And to find problems or find ways, I would say right now we don't have that issue. So
You do have good people out there.
we do have good people. And so she does an excellent job in screening those. We don't have folks that oppose it because they realize the rationale behind it. And I'd say for the most part, we don't have a problem.
You think most of the front tractor tires back prior to 10, 12 years ago is all single rig, double rig, or tri-rig. She put them under the truck tires for $5.
And I think that's what she
She's got the
does.
flexibility to do that.
She does.
And not be an issue.
That's right.
What's off-road tires?
That'd be like your scrapers, wouldn't it?
Well,
All trucks.
Any one of those,
your four-wheeler have off-road tires?
well, you can be like your scraper tires and stuff like that. So anything that's not flat.
I mean, for the normal citizen, off-road is a four-wheeler or something like that, it's off-road tires.
Well, but see, once again, we get in those finer points, and I think that's where, they say, okay, is this equivalent to a truck tire? When we talk like the front on the tractors, or is this equivalent to a passenger car tire? And we don't get those, but this is what we would call the norm, where people would understand these, but we do have those outliers to say, okay, how do we handle those? And once again, our staff does a great job. So there's not a lot of questions or problems that come up because of the interpretation of the fees.
I would imagine if you made a list trying to identify every tire that's out there, it'd be a long one.
And I would miss some too, yes. So as you say there. So mine is, as we went through the fees at the landfill, and it was well presented last time. Like I say, the only change that we had, and that was from the discussion, was basically on the C&D out of county waste. that we had raised that, I believe it was like $23, now $25. And so this is the resolution that we would ask that you would move forward on and pass, and then we would get published, and then we would contact our folks that work with us at the landfill and pass that on to them so they can budget accordingly.
Shouldn't the number 2, the very last sentence say the Board of County Commissioners approval at their next scheduled meeting, not in their next scheduled meeting?
Once again, we don't change a lot of the wording that's been going down since the very beginning of time. So I think it's an attorney type thing. So this resolution, the only changes that you're going to find if you compare one to the other is slight modifications, but wording in the resolution was not necessarily something that we scrutinized. We left it up to the attorney that basically formed it. And so I'd say our initial was probably done in 95 or something like that.
Well, he's not here. That's, to me, it's like a misprint.
You have his number? Just tell him, ask him if he's coming down today. But
I agree, the prices need to go up.
yeah, I mean, we had this,
Yeah.
I think Jeff presented this several months ago.
Yes. And it's been too long.
Yeah.
It's been too long ago.
We don't need anything from Wade just to move this.
It's as to form. I mean, the
Yeah.
motion's always as to form.
Yeah.
So if he's finds something that he wants to change on that, it doesn't get published until he signs off on it. But it, basically by your motion, you're agreeing to the fees and the resolution to move forward.
Yeah. Everybody good? Okay. Based on the recommendation of county engineer and approval of the county attorney as to form, move to adopt resolution number 498G, revising the landfill fees for Coffee County. All moved. Jesse's moved.
All second.
Tim seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
I'll make sure he has a chance to take a look at it from him.
So this won't, is there an effective date for this?
Yeah, they're on the second page.
Was on the
So we need to
January 1st,
the first notified
2022.
paper or something about that,
Uh,
somewhere.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, it's gonna contact all of our folks that work with us at the landfill. We'll make sure all of our haulers and out-of-county folks, the counties, not every individual, but basically the organizations that basically regularly dump the landfill.
In the resolution, it says it takes effective January 1st, 2022.
That's correct,
So
yes.
And it's gonna go in the paper, so it's gonna be what?
well publicized.
Well publicized.
Got several months yet, so we're good.
Okay.
Be here before we know it.
But I would like to have, if Andrea would help me on this one, go ahead and get your signatures onto it. And once again, there's 2 seals that you're gonna have requires the county attorney to sign off and then also Andy. I think you're the last one, right, Andy? Yeah. So, these would be the 2 originals. If we could get these passed around and signed, that'd be great. And of course, if he wants to change something, we'll get it changed. Okay. Okay, just for, you have construction zone. So with construction zone, just to give you some information, we're prepping the work right now for dust control. We'll be spraying, scheduled at this point, weather permitting, on May the 18th, so next week. Bob, you may be familiar with this location, Atherley Street. Randy Rogers lives over there. Okay, this would be the street that would be just east of, or west of his place. And we have been doing dust control out there for the city for years. And then they would pay for the dust control, but we would go within the city with discussion previously with the commission to do that. It's needing rock at this point, and so what they would like to do is to go ahead and pay for the rock. We would haul the rock, dump the rock, spread the rock, and then they would reimburse us for the rock on that street. It's right here.
How long a stretch we talking about? One?
It's, looks like about two city blocks.
Two,
I'm good, like,
600-700 feet.
yes, sir.
There wasn't much cost involved in it. Yeah.
Well, they're gonna reimburse us for the material fee. So you're familiar with that one.
And we're gonna dust control it afterwards.
Yes. So we do have, city, county, agreements in place. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I don't think it's necessary as far as a motion, but unless you had an issue or you wanted me to change something.
I don't have an issue.
Okay.
Anybody else?
All right. Then I have another one too, as well. I'm sure I'm gonna miss the name on this one, but I believe it's called, it's a cemetery. Don, you may know this cemetery. It's Sheetler Cemetery. They call it, children's play, I believe.
Selector?
Schlechter, okay, Schlechter Cemetery.
It's pronounced
Your
Slichter.
Selectors.
S-E-H-L-I-L-I-T-E-R.
And I'm gonna just stop there. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. So thank you very much.
Lots of good
Okay.
stories about that place.
Yes. So on this one is our county road, as you can see here on the two red lines, come up to the entrance right there. And it stops. Then after that, it becomes the cemetery and the cemetery property. What they've asked is there's some erosion right around the gate.
Yeah, I know where it's all.
And so with that being said, is we would be extending work beyond our right of way to do some work in that area. And so if you're not opposed to that, we would like to go ahead and move forward onto it. So
You're probably not talking about what, 1 day's work or half a day's work.
it'd be a little skid steer. That's correct.
We've done a lot of work in cemeteries to help
Yes.
dress them up a little bit,
That
and
is,
make it a
an
little more maintenance free, and
active- that is an active cemetery.
sorry to say,
So,
it's surprising how they got there.
so with that, that would be just, passing on information. If you're not opposed to it, we'll be doing that work there.
Who's on that committee for that cemetery?
I don't have,
Who's going to do it?
yeah, I don't have the information. I believe it's Neosho Township. So, all right. I believe I've covered everything that I had planned, and probably a little bit more. But,
We had some good discussion on several topics, I believe.
absolutely, absolutely.
You've got written down here, you're ditching on Zurich the 13th and 14th. I haven't been by there for 2 weeks. Have they started that project?
At this point, I don't believe we
We're trying
have.
to get their project.
Yeah, I don't believe we have. I believe we have everything in place, but. That's all I have unless you have questions for me. All
I do not.
I don't have any.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take a short break.
Well,
Well, I don't know. Wayne on his way down. Do you have something, Tom?
Yes, but I'm waiting on Wade.
Take a short break. I seen him coming when he walked through the door. Huh? I know, right? I do the same thing. It's like I gotta rub my eyes and focus.
Thompson.
I'm the two favorite officers.
Hey, well, I know I'm big enough for sure you're not including Eric.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I'm okay.
Good deal.
Appreciate it. You?
I'm good. My wife slept all day yesterday. I had a wonderful.
You just relaxed, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I got to watch the Royals. I watched some John Wayne.
Well, that's what you wanted to do, right?
Well, between my granddaughter's graduation, we had to cook, because she could take us out, make home the ice cream, this and that.
Oh, man, that's.
Didn't get home till like, I don't know, 11:30. It's like, rough on us old people.
I'll make that screen show good.
Well, I didn't have. Morning, Wade.
Tom said, oh. You didn't miss the meeting, we were just taking break.
We just went on break because he said he had something new, he was waiting for you, so it's like, okay, we'll take a break. Didn't know what else you might have plans for the day either, so. Nothing.
This is, I can say, five and find all kinds of things on the Slater Cemetery, except for who or not.
Not right now.
Probably next week.
There's maybe on the south side of that, down to that.
Well, don't they tax it all together? I don't think there's a fence on those two properties. So, yeah, so basically it'd be my property, take it on east, I mean, that's basically where it's like.
Yeah, sure, township on each.
On the other, south. What are you saying, Austin, what?
Yeah.
Well, I could maybe work with him, he can hunt on my side. Well, let me punch your number. Thank you.
Well, I ran into work.
Had a pretty good crowd at Waverly's graduation.
Yes, they did. For sure.
Yeah, we don't have our graduation until this week, so.
We had it Sunday.
Well, it was on Sunday?
Yep. Yep. Sunday at 2:00.
I've never heard, I probably have seen the graduation on Sunday. Ours is always on Saturday.
Ours was on Sunday. Went to it yesterday. Hi, Tom. Hi, Eric. How are we doing? Not too rough yet.
She's a busy down for this, nice. She said.
We've only got, we got 15 graduates this year. I looked in the paper, how many, I didn't count, how many were there? I think
No, it was either 15 or 16 we're down to.
we're only gonna have 11 next year unless changes happen. Our softball class is bigger, but.
Well, I was up at Clayton's place and, they got the driveway in, got the house set, or the house site level.
What's his projected time to move in?
Hopefully July.
They're putting a modular deal.
Yeah, yeah. Clayton Home. Out of, used to be Wichita, but they closed it and now it's come out of Joplin. I don't see how they're doing it for the price.
Probably got some of those just sitting around.
Probably bought it before the lumber went up.
See, I'm guessing they must have a pretty good sized warehouse.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's probably already sitting there.
Yeah.
They probably got to up it by 10 or 20%, you wouldn't even notice it.
5/8 OSB board levo was $60 a sheet.
What size? 7/16?
No, 5/8.
5/8?
5/8.
I was shocked. 2 units, $6,000.
So I had two of them up in my shop. I gave my son brought a piece of property south of town here. You do not need those 2 sheets of plywood, that's $100 and something.
Tell you what. Yeah, it's not good. I'm anxious to see what this pipeline, how much gas is gonna go up.
Keyhole.
I said that was, somebody hacked into the computer system.
We are back. Mr. Johnson, Sheriff Johnson. Has something to share with us.
Morning all. Everybody in Facebook land or whatever you want to do. So I would like to ask permission of executive session for 5 minutes. Reference.
So request commission recess into executive session to discuss the preliminary acquisition of real property under the exception, coma exception, KSA 7543-19B6. Myself, the sheriff, under sheriff, and the board. And it's related to the jail project.
So I'll second. Tom moved, Bob seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're at 10:30. Are you set for 5 minutes?
Yeah, won't take very long.
Okay. All right. 10:30, 5 minutes.
Where we going?
So to our normal.
Economic development. Room.
Yeah.
That's it. Change from minute. Yeah.
Yeah, and that clock up there, about a minute.
they done for the day?
Not yet. They're in executive session.
Is the talk time usually the best time to come in and get an approval on something needs to be repaired or ask for money for something to be repaired?
You can,
Okay,
what do you have?
what it is, it's on the server room up at the JSB building. We had this, the existing air conditioner was put in 2008. It's got refrigeration leaks in the evaporator cooler. We're just gonna replace it, but there's nothing in the capital outlay within the JSB budget.
Okay.
So this,
To tell you where to pay.
Yeah.
And I see that.
this is for the stock system, and if they use this type of two-ton cooler, it improves the efficiency and it should pay for itself, so it makes it extra. So, hey, Mark.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll be back first. Give it up.
Okay. Keep it busy. How's the grandkids?
Doing great.
I said just to ask where to take it from, right? I got a script.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Going too fast.
I did. I did.
are back. It's time for roundtable. Wait.
I don't really have anything to bring up this week, which is probably surprising considering most other weeks, once I get up here, it's another hour and a half or longer. The only thing I want to bring up is it's been brought to my attention that there has been clearance given or approval by the health department through Dr. Sawyer to move meetings back up to the commission room. So I think you could make that, have that discussion and decision today if you want. I don't think it has to occur, but it can. And if that does occur, then to have, I won't recommend that executive sessions occur in that meeting, in that room. I know that historically has happened in the past, but until walls are filled with some sort of noise deadening material, then that drop ceiling's dealt with. During COVID, I discovered that you could hear somebody down in the lobby talking if you're just sitting in that room, and to me, that defeats the purpose of an executive session, so.
And I don't mind walking down to where we're going now, so.
I don't know if that's a long-term solution to have those there, but I guess I won't be a part of an executive session if we do it up in that room.
We can discuss that subject right now.
Why not?
I was actually in conversation, with our health department, and moving is fine, except that the only caution was that if we're there and one of us does come down with it, everyone would have to be quarantined, because we would not be the required distance apart yet, and this is still kind of an ongoing deal, I guess. That would be the only drawback.
So in this room, as it currently exists, everybody is social distancing, and if members of the public want to come in and either be a part of the meetings inside this room, there's plenty of room in the back. We're a little more compressed in that smaller room. Does that mean that you can't have meetings there? No, I know meetings are occurring in other counties in rooms that are similar to that same size. But to your point, it does create an interesting dynamic should there be an issue internally with one of the commissioners or otherwise. So,
And I'll bring up one other thing, and visiting with the clerk's office, it was just in discussion that that room that they're talking about painting the walls, trying to brighten the room up so when we did go back, that it might be a little bit brighter room. I don't know where that process is, but they were thinking about maybe trying to do that before we did go back, so I don't know.
We're actually doing it right now because we didn't know if you were coming back next week. So we started just trying to freshen it up, repair a bunch of holes and things like that were.
After 14 years, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit brighter in there.
And it's been that way a lot longer than that.
So that's really all I have. You get to make that decision, but that's at least my understanding. If you need more input or guidance, probably Dr. Sawyer or Lindsay. That's not my subject matter area, really.
I think it would be nice to get back there, because that seems to where all my information and stuff is, so I do frequent that quite often and use the computer there. But at the same time, with those cautions, we need to just be careful what we do, I guess.
Any thoughts, Tim?
I'm concerned over the whole board have to be.
I agree.
How many
Wouldn't have to
set
meet for a
shots?
couple of weeks. We just have to do it on Zoom. That's my concern. What are you thinking?
It doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I'd like to be in the original room, but we gotta still be present.
I hate taking that chance.
The other thing to keep in mind is, right now, as it presently sits, we're live streamed to YouTube. If I understand the way the recording is set up and operates in the existing commission room upstairs, it's recorded and then it's later uploaded sometime later in the day at the end of the meeting, so it's not live like it is right now. There's no requirement under COMA that it even be recorded and placed on the internet, but that was done intentionally so that the meetings and what occurs during the meetings is transparent. So it's still accomplished the same way, it's just in a different format.
I would like to make it get there, but I don't know right now's the timing.
Don, what do you think?
It makes no difference to me. I would prefer to be up there, but I don't think we need to take too much of a risk of being shut down for a week or two. One of them would have to be exposed or come down with it. So, this atmosphere here seems to work good. Everybody's spread out. I can work with either way. And I know that's not giving you an answer. And we'll probably be in this situation 6 months from now. That's just an assumption. It's gonna be a while before we get out from underneath, before we can go up there and be totally clean.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody really knows the answer to that one.
We don't have the answers to that.
So I guess all those in favor of staying down here for a while?
I have no problem staying here.
I mean, I have no problem staying down here. I would eventually sometime, hopefully before we're gone, get back up there, but
Me too, I mean, it'd be easier to keep my stuff.
a little while before, I think a little precaution doesn't hurt though.
Okay, we'll just give it some more time.
Sounds good.
Sounds like everybody's leaning toward a little more time, so we'll remain here for a while.
Put it on the agenda 30 days from now, 2 weeks from now, then that way the issue has to be discussed, and that way it's an agenda topic. It can be the last thing people get on the agenda. That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Every month,
30 days,
30 days.
pick a date.
First of each month. Every time Jeremy comes in here from the hospital, we can talk about it. How's that?
Might make him aware of it, that he'd have the opportunity to talk to the doctor or Sawyer.
Exactly.
Make him aware of it, then when he comes down here the first of the month, he can give us that date.
Anything else, Wade?
That's all I have for today.
I don't have anything.
Ray, did you have a chance to look at that 30-30 resolution?
I'm still sorting through. There's a lot of material there. So I'll have the time to really understand what it is I'm looking at.
Andrea gave us a lot of information to read this morning too, which she did a good job of researching that and seeing what was up for sure, so.
I would like to know how Coffee County, how their sign is sitting up there at Coffee County line. Coffee line, county line, but Coffee County's in the zone area.
You can go take it down, it's our county.
What's gonna take down our county sign? Oh, you mean unscrew it? Yeah, okay.
I'd like to see how we became a number.
Yes, that's what I'd like.
Some of the information that Andrea passed out.
It's in the information?
Yeah, it's.
Right.
Some of it is.
Some of it is, it's pretty vague from what I.
Yes, it is.
And then the contact information for Jim Ogle, the director, is who I spoke to. He would be the one who would have access to it. He said it's before his time, but he would be the one who should be able to find the previous information. And
and he didn't call to be put on the agenda, but the date wasn't going to work for him because he was having some medical treatments, so.
Okay.
He was gonna call back with, another date.
So that individual's with the Freedom Frontier.
He was the director or?
Executive director, and his contact information is in one of those, packets.
That way, look through it some more and read through what we got, and we'll know more next week. Anything else, Ken? Jesse?
I think I have anything.
I'll give my time to Carl. I think he's, I
I just
don't think you
stepped
see
in.
him.
Carl's stretching around.
I didn't see him. What did you see him, Tom?
I thought he was gonna fall off the chair the way he's stretching.
No, we just had a minor issue come to make sure we take care of.
Okay.
Is, on the 4th, we had to have one of the air conditioners repaired up at the JSB building. And what it is, it's the air conditioning system for the server. That's our backup server. And I don't have any money in my capital outlay fund at the JSB. Let's come in and see if we can take it out of the general fund. The cost of it for just the bare bones stock systems, $3,310. If we was to upgrade it to a more efficient system, it'd be $4,810. And so I was just coming in and get approval of use the general fund for it.
What's the efficiency of it? What's the efficiency difference now?
He didn't give me a number. He said it paid for itself in 1 to 5 years in as far as the efficiency. And what it is the note that he put on here is a 14 SEER condenser versus a 13 SEER condenser. He didn't have any numbers. He just said, just give me the raw data of 1 to 5 years. Now the system up there was put in 2008. So we got 13 years out of it. And he said 10 to 15 years is about max. He said for a commercial system like that, 15 years is max. We fell within it. And so since that takes care of one of our servers, I just want to make sure and keep this up on the ladder for things to get done for them.
For another $2,000, you can get a brand new system put in. I mean, I think that's.
What's our monthly bill up there, Carl?
I didn't write that down.
That's one of the deals on a building project that I was working on. Our monthly bill averaged about $70.
Right.
You know, they say the efficiency will pay for those things in 5 years. I'm not gonna dispute that. But the actual energy cost on average for the month, for the year,
Right.
was $600. You couldn't pay for that $6,500 investment in 15 years.
Right. I didn't compare the utilities.
There's more to those being paid in a short term than what they're letting you know.
Right.
Because your utility bill, you know, there's $40 or $50 of its base.
Right.
You wouldn't save that.
Right.
And I might say, I probably agree with Jesse, you know, at this time, I'd probably go with a more efficient one, but.
Thanks for the learning curve on that, because I didn't
Sorry.
prepare to bring that in.
Has this been bid out for?
No, I just took what they give us because Modern Air installed it, and that's who we use for our repairs up there in the past.
Do we need to put it out for bid?
Well, is it operating now?
It's been repaired. What Brad explained to me, because since it was the server room up there, Brad was up there when it was in there letting in and out. And he said that when the guy explained to him, the system was totally froze up and had leaks in the evaporated coil. And so I was just, since this takes care of the server, I was just trying to keep things expedited.
Right.
Well, from what I know about this, the JSB committee, Carl is the head of it, and he has the authority up to $10,000 for repairs. But since this is a county server, which is kind of Brad's project, I think it's more of the general fund's money. So I don't know whether Carl can say, this is maintenance, we're going to do it and take money out of the general fund, because I know the JSB fund does not have that.
No, it's not built into that.
It's not built into that, so I don't know, Angie, can that?
It would be, if you wanted, we've got money in the general fund capital outlay line item.
But I honestly think that would be a Carl call, because Carl was responsible for, when he took over, he was responsible for the JSB building, and he has that authority up to $10,000.
I just want to make sure I could take that. Okay.
That's just my thinking.
So we're gonna upgrade it?
Yes.
Okay. That's what you
I
see.
assume that was a consensus by everybody.
That's what he sees fit. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just maintenance.
Just wanted to make sure since it's coming out of the general. fund.
I assume that the
Don,
temperature,
thanks for the learning curve on it.
the
Thanks for
temperature,
coming in and notifying us.
Thanks, guys.
assume the temperature stays the same year round.
Yeah.
That servers in there. Moving off.
I have nothing.
I don't have anything.
Well, I wouldn't mind having a 20-minute executive session. I don't know how to word it. To discuss
Non-elected personnel.
non-elected personnel.
Job clarification or job duties. I'm looking for help here.
Job duties. I didn't make him aware of what I was gonna do today.
He's got the deer in the headline. Look.
Yeah, he does. I apologize for that.
Okay, why wasn't helping?
Usually it's me.
Yeah, no.
You're wanting to talk about non-elected personnel, I get that. And I assume
Potential,
myself, the board,
yeah, just yourself and the board.
okay.
Just general discussion as far as moving forward. Yeah, I don't know how to word it in. I should have spoke way prior. I got the wording correctly.
Your,
Job clarification?
Well,
I don't know. Maybe you need to talk to Tom.
yeah, I need a little more information before I'm comfortable saying exactly what it is.
Did you notice it's kind of strange that this, after we put people in there at that meeting and all of us start getting stuff from the other side?
Well, you contacted them.
I did.
Yeah, she contacted
Oh,
them.
you contacted
And he
me.
wondered how this came to our attention at this time. So I told him that the Angel Cushing was on our agenda. So he asked how he could get on the agenda, so he said he'd be contacting me.
They did, you contact him originally, or did they contact you?
I contacted him
Contacted
originally to
me.
find out how we originally became a part of this.
Oh, okay, yes.
Well, do you remember?
Hmm?
Do you remember?
That must be before, well, this was,
Oh, yes, and
we looked at that date on there, well, it was before me as far as I know.
I'd venture to say it probably come down through tourism.
Imagine.
I think it was
Well, that's where Ron.
when John Hoteling was here, John, there was an organization in Leroy, and our economic development director, I think, is where it,
Gave some money.
July 7th, 2007, I remember a little bit of the deal.
All right, I've got a better idea of what's going on. So, motion to recess into executive session to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel, specifically potential the reorganization of reorganization or reassignment of the county zoning administrator. And that would be discussed under the non-elected personnel matters exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 7543, 19B1. Is that,
Yes, sir.
and then how much time?
20 minutes. I made the motion. I guess.
Was it second? Second.
Don seconded.
Who's seconded?
One and two.
And you.
Put down whatever you want.
I made the motion.
Don
Yeah, so
seconded.
that, okay. I heard lots of voices.
Yeah. So 20 minutes and we'll go in at 10:59.
Us and the county.
Us and the county attorney, yes. 10:59. Take my glasses. Read my thought.
I like your look with.
Back in executive session.
Yeah, we'll be back at 11:19.
I think so.
You know how that goes, though.
Okay.
Everybody out, you're all
Are back. That was all I had from roundtable. Not much more. How about Andrea?
I just have a couple of things for everyone to sign, the community action proclamation
Okay.
and the Lake Regional Annual Amendment. If everyone can sign the 2 copies, I'll move these to the back, and then they need 2 copies of original signatures.
What's the Lake Region? What are you talking about? The 2 Great Lake regions.
And this is at their annual meeting for their amendment. Here's the email that comes with it. It says, at the annual meeting on April 23rd, the Lake Region Solid Waste Authority's board members approved amendments to the interlocal agreement where changes have been made, attached, and highlighted for review. Looks like there's only a couple of words that have been highlighted, like the dates updated to this year.
I did receive that email. I'm trying to recall that.
There's a few dates that they've highlighted and changed.
Yeah.
And there's the 2 copies are right underneath that for everyone and for Angie.
Okay. But I want to make sure I know
What has changed on the Lake Region?
Yeah, that's what
I'm curious because one year they threw in about $2,000 more fee for us.
Well, I'll send this e-can one around and I'll read through that. I received that via email. I remember reading it, but I'm sorry I slept a couple of times.
And then the only other thing is this pay plan adjustment for the upcoming year. I don't know if anyone, before I send that out, did you want the 3.5 or 3% cushion? And then it showed last year when it went out, there was no cushion due to the COVID.
I thought we had discussed it. We were going to pinpoint everybody down a lot closer to their budgets than what they used to be. So that's one of the reasons. I don't know if the COVID was so much the project. It was just that we were wanting to compress down and not everybody.
Okay.
Can I ask something related to that?
Sure.
So in our CIC system, we talked about it last year, that's why I wanted to bring it up. With the memo that Andrew's gonna email out, can we send out the budget sheets that are in our system to the departments so that they can, that's the detailed budget, So it falls right in line with our system. So when I go to enter, we can just run right down the line. It makes it a lot more efficient for us to do that instead of using a different form that doesn't line up with our system. And then we're trying to figure out where all the numbers go and everything. Because we can go by department and print out that detailed line item. And then if they can just fill that in, then that can be what's put in your books behind the budget form instead of the ones that was made. It was kind of like before you guys were wanting the detailed budget.
Probably everyone should be using the same form anyway.
As if it goes with your books and your.
It's a lot easier to enter if it would follow our detailed report, because sometimes things are not always in the same place, and then we've got to hunt and search and find, and otherwise if it's that, you could just, you know.
Right across.
Right, yeah, just enter. Boom, 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 boom.
I don't see a problem.
So in that one sample had allowed 3.5%, including longevity pay, is that to still be included, just not the 3% cushion then? Is that?
Oh, you're looking at me. Tom was here too. I thought we pretty well, correct me, Tom, I thought we pretty well said we want a pretty close, almost an itemized, Don, you were here, almost an itemized budget, instead of just saying, here, we're giving you 6.5% to get within.
Yes.
In years past, one line was 3.5% on personnel costs, and the other was 3% on other contracts or other commodities or whatever it may be.
Because everybody should know who's getting a raise in their department and who is not, and they can budget for that.
Correct. I'm sorry, I kept looking over at you, but I was trying to make sure I got this lake region thing down. But yes, that is correct.
So I know
We
we
were
have,
gonna give the, we had budget in for a cost of living of a certain percentage, and that was about it.
And because we discussed it, if something did change, we could come up with the money to make it work if it did change.
so we had some departments that's overstated much more than what they should have been, in my opinion. And they said, well, we need something for emergencies. I talked to some of the department heads. And I said, well, my opinion is we got the right to make funds available for an emergency that comes up. So to me, the budget preparation needs to be very conservative.
I would say
And yet we don't want to be over conservative, but
I'll see what they predict is their actual.
it needs to be much closer to what it has been.
We just wanted, yeah. The only thing we want to adjust for is what cost of living raise might or might not be.
And I don't know if we've ever had a 3-point cost of living. I think 2.5 is about the highest that's ever been, so.
Last year, the quote on that last year was 3. I think it's 3.5 on, there was 2 lines, 3.5 on cost of living, and the line below was 3%.
Yeah, but we've never had a 3.5 cost of living increase.
You're probably right there too.
So you're right, everybody should know what their raises will be, and then
I'm going to sign this, but I do everything Robert L.
Okay,
instead of Bob.
okay,
I like Bob, but I do everything officially Robert L.
okay.
But I'll sign Bob's.
and all that is just changing some dates.
Changing dates, okay.
That's all it was. I remember reading that meeting, now that I've browsed through it. Did you get your question answered?
So
So,
this would be the way you would want that worded then, because it still includes the longevity pay. So it's the best estimate, still including the longevity. Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's all I had.
so what are we doing on that, Jim?
It was just the salary is best estimate, including longevity pay.
Okay, no percentages.
No percentages on that one, though.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Is there something on there that says, use the clerk's office detailed line item budget?
It is, here I can run this over to you. It says included detailed line item budget, include the future capital expenditures form that's attached. Is that the new form that you're gonna want?
Well, no, that'll be the generic budget form, so, maybe I can just send
You
out.
girls
the
get
detailed-
together and figure that out.
To me, you need to work to compromise that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome.
I think that'll take care of the regular one. And then I can attach the detailed one, email it out, that would be easy.
Okay, yeah.
And they can just fill it in.
Okay.
I'll get them later.
Awesome.
And I do have two other things when you're done.
Go ahead.
I forgot earlier.
Well, as long as Andrea's
Yeah, I'm done.
I forgot earlier and I apologize. I shouldn't have forgot these two items. So last week I worked on entering in all the grades and steps in the CIC system. So we have every available option that can be done. They're now entered. So now we're down to still working with CIC to get things connected with employees. And then as far as their grade and step, and then the last thing we'll have to do is enter in their job titles. And so we're still waiting on that with Lisa. Or, well, no, I guess we have that on there, but I don't know how we're entering in the job titles with CIC yet. So we're still working on all that in the background, so just so you have an update on that. And then the last thing was that the auditors were here last week. Everything went really well. They got everything they needed from all departments. And they thought they would maybe be here for 4 days. They ended up only needing to be here for 3. And so, but they said everything was looking good and everything went well. So they'll have the report probably near budget time, just so you know, their audit report for this 2020. So
Was Phil here?
he was not.
There's someone else under him.
He said, yeah.
Was there a cap on mill levy this year?
I don't know that yet. He'll be here.
I've heard that they've opened that up, and I've also heard they didn't, so
I have not heard that they've opened that up yet.
I've heard both of them, so.
But,
And they would know by now, or somebody.
Yeah.
Since legislature's done.
he will be here, near the end of July. I've got him scheduled to come for budget preparation, so. That's all I have, those two items.
Not to change. Did Phil have any recommendations, on any of our accounting procedures that we have in place? Did they offer anything that we need to change, update?
No,
Okay.
not yet. It might be in the management
Well,
letter.
Phil, once he reviews everything, Phil may come up with an idea or something. It might.
Anybody have anything else?
I guess that does lead me to one just quick question then, since you'd mentioned your name on that. There was something else too that I saw, Don, your name it showed as a member, not the vice chairman. So if I receive something from someplace else, you want me to, I just didn't want to alter a document that somebody else sent, but when it's your names, is that, if I'm going to change how, if you're listed as a member, not the vice chairman on one thing that I saw, and if your name's not written, should I be changing it to the way it should appear?
So you don't know. Just change it from member to vice president, it's gonna be an issue.
Or how they worded your names. I just don't want to change the documents if I'm not supposed to, basically, or, and I know it's just sometimes a minor, like a description
Just
or
a
a title.
technicality. So, but the official here is chairman and vice chairman. I
Right.
suppose that if it needs to be changed to that on documents you get, it probably ought to be updated.
Okay.
Under my official signature is Donald S. I mean, never used Donald, I ain't been called that in 50 years.
But just, before I change something, if it comes in, just to make sure that I'm not altering something that somebody else sent.
I think you can change it if I can speak.
No,
I
you're
think if they prefer their names a certain way to sign, you would have that, right, to change their name or title if one's chairman and they pick something else, president, you change it to chairman.
Okay. All right.
Just to stay consistent with what we do.
Exactly. Anything else? Going once, going twice. We'll adjourn at 11:33.
I'll just check.
We don't know what it's like.